everybody, and welcome to this a brand new football-themed podcast that we're creatively calling the FUWBAWLL Podcast, but we're spelling it differently so it's legally distinct. My name is Jonathan, and I'll be hosting this podcast for this evening, and I'm joined by two good friends called Neil and Rachel. Gentlemen and lady, good evening.
Hello.
And
evening.
Yeah, there we go. They're definitely in the room with me, trust me on this one. So this is hopefully a regular feature that we're going to be doing possibly next season. So consider this a pilot for the moment. But you never know, we might just dabble in the European Championships if we're in the mood. Tonight on the show, we'll be talking about the crazy season that was the 2015-2016 Premier League from England. And later on the show then we'll be talking about some of the cup finals that have happened and will happen over the next week or so. We'll be dabbling into the Europa League final between Liverpool and Sevilla. We'll be talking about the FA Cup final that happened yesterday between Manchester United and Crystal Palace. And then we'll be talking about the big one, the Champions League final hailing from Milan between Real and Atletico Madrid. But that's very much later on into the show. And we might have a few surprises at the end. We never know. But folks, let's get started with the Premier League. Because that was a thing that happened, and I think we can all agree on that. It was definitely a thing that happened. How was the Premier League for you?
Do you want to take that?
It was surprising.
So tentative to talk about the Premier League. That's adorable. Just where do you start? Where do you fucking start?
It was just kind of insane, I would say. I think that would be my one-word summation of it.
It was truly batshit.
I think we can all concur with that. It was something that we would never expect in a million years, and I think the bookies can agree on that as well. That it was just totally unpredictable, and it's either a good or a bad thing. Depends on what you perceive as good football, I guess.
Well, consider that it's probably never ever going to happen again. I think we should kind of take it as a kind of, the 2015-2016 will be a kind of meteor shower season.
It'll be a watershed, yeah.
Absolutely,
yeah.
I'm like, but a meteor shower where a couple of the meteors peel off and actually hit the earth. So it's kind of like this very, very pretty thing, but will have reverberations, I'm like...
It's going to leave a big-ass crater, yeah.
Absolutely, like what happened this season isn't going to occur again, but... like the ramifications from this season are going to be awful. Like, I mean, we're going to get onto it later when we start discussing the teams. But
yes.
I think the repercussions of Newcastle and Villa going down are just...
Yeah, that's the two Premier League institutions that are gone completely, and there's a new breed and new champions and new people in the Champions League.
Yeah, I think people have just grossly underestimated how much that's going to affect the league. Like, they just think, it just means that Newcastle and Villa won't be around anymore.
Yeah,
and it's not that.
Yeah,
but we'll get to that when we're discussing the individual tems.
Indeed, we will. Yeah,
that's how a mildly dangerous meteor shower of a season. As I know that. Tepid meteor shower.
They're not burning balls of fire. They're just kind of lukewarm.
Yeah. They're skipping. There's skipping little balls. Anyway.
That meteor show was fierce mild there the other day, wasn't it? Fierce mild.
It was. It was a bit cold actually last night, wasn't it? Yeah. Let's get on from this crippled metaphor and move on to to a club by club rundown of the Premier League season. And where else can we start when we have two gooners in the room? And we start off with the runners up of the Premiership, Arsenal. They finished on 71 points. Positives, negatives, how was the season for you guys?
See, the funny thing is that many people will be at pains to point out, but I think this is our best league position that we finished in since 2004, isn't it?
I believe that's true, yes.
And this season our team has played more dismally than they ever have.
Now, is that saying something about the league itself? Or is that more so the competition?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, but by all accounts, statistically, it's been a decent season for Arsenal. I mean, when you look at individual performances, at least some individuals, the person that really sticks out here is Mesut Ozil, who again netted the I don't think there's an award for top assists. Like there's a golden boot, silver boot. I don't know, but he racked up the top assists award for the league, which is 19, which I believe is a record. I'm not too sure about that.
No, it's one off the record.
One off the record, right?
One off, yeah. Henri has the record.
Yes, that's
20.
right.
And he set the record with 20 in the same season that he scored 21 goals.
Ah, yes, the good old days.
Fucking good old days.
And funny enough, actually, you two guys were on scene for the final league game at the Emirates this season, and it was quite a hammering of a team that actually just wanted death at that time, which is Aston Villa. So, by all means, you're on the on the scene reporters. How was the atmosphere at the Emirates? I'm sure it was pretty good, considering what else happened.
It was actually quite quiet until news filtered through that Newcastle had got ahead.
Yeah.
And I think that's when people started to actually go, oh, holy crap, we can actually do something here. And the crowd were getting on the players' back because they were kind of sitting back a bit, letting Villa play. Like, who does that?
Yeah, it was like 45, nearly 50 minutes where nothing happened in the game, which was really sad considering the team you're up against. You know?
Yeah.
Like, that was your opportunity to just to keep, like, burying, like, mound of dirt, you know?
I suppose that's kind of a real fear of, like, messing it up.
Yeah.
Sort of. But then, as soon as we put...
But how can you mess up against Villa, lads? Come on. Like, you can't possibly.
We've done it before.
No, this is true. This is true.
We did it at the start of the season, didn't we?
Yeah, we certainly did. Okay, so for me, positives of the season for you guys, and I've just kind of made these notes. Obviously, Mesut Ozil was a huge positive for you guys because he was like, that was the form and that was the kind of the stats you wanted from him from when he signed initially, and now he's just starting. I think this is his third season now with Arsenal. I think.
Yeah, and he's breaking records. Didn't he He broke the Premier League all history record for the amount of chances created.
Chances created, yeah. He certainly he did that all right. And again, it shows you how pivotal he can be to a team. But do you think it's a bit wasted considering you only got second place?
No, not really. To be honest, I mean, we just need a decent strike force for him to play off, and just.
You see, sorry,
we just need to be more clinical. We need to have clinical finishers. When you have Theo Walcott as as the marked finisher in your team, there's something wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's a curious thing because you guys,
on paper, the combination of Ozil and Walcott should be lethal, but it just it hasn't worked out that way. Like, Walcott hasn't had any finishing at all to note this season. So
yeah. But see, that's the funniest thing because like you guys have like people in the top double figures for goals. Like Giroud netted 16, which I was very surprised at because it seemed like a very average season for him. 25 of the full season.
Yeah, and that's actually that's like his third season of scoring 20 plus goals for us.
And yet, you guys aren't happy with him. Like, there's some Arsenal fans that want someone. Well, obviously you are because you're madly in love with him, as most people are. But that's beside the point. Like, there's just seems to be just a general kind of like air of apathy around him.
It's that clinical aspect.
Yeah.
He isn't clinical as you would hope he would be. The space he gets into, he's so slow, on the turns, whereas he could have better finishing if he was a bit quicker. And it was just kind of frustrating if you could combine his finishing with Walcott's pace, then maybe you'd have a 30 plus striker.
Yeah, that's true. Like so you would say then a striker is the missing piece of the puzzle then for Arsenal, And would you say you should have got him this season because you did kind of go all out to get Petr Cech, which I think again is a great positive for you guys as well. But do you think a striker should have been the top priority instead of something like goalkeeping or like? Well,
to be honest with you, like the thing is that it's who could we have bought? Like everybody rattles off tons of names, but it's like we bought Petr Cech. Like, who else was going? Nobody else was going.
Yeah. That's a
like,
very good point. Yeah.
Who could we have bought that people would have been fully happy with?
Yeah, like I said, that's a very good point. There was no.
I just want to point out that I actually just kind of earmarked to talk about Bellerin. I think he's been one of our players.
Oh, he's been exceptional.
So
I was about
think he's a very close second to Ozil in the fans' vote for player of the season. So Bellerin has just been a huge asset to the team.
Well, it's not necessarily a danger position you had, the fullbacks, but it does help out a lot having someone who like can backtrack and is more or less cohesive with the back four. You know, because you kind of had that problem for a while, I think, wasn't it? I can't remember Debussy, that's what it was, and it just didn't seem to kind of click with the defense you had. Obviously, he was injured and all, but Bellerin has certainly just fitted in there, and it's seamless almost, because he was the breakout star last season, wasn't he? And he's kind of gone on
really
since then. Yeah. And I was about another positive I had for you guys was some more stars getting into the first team. I earmarked here FUWBAWLL and El Neni for those. Obviously, El Neni was a transfer in January, but do you think El Neni can do a job for you in the midfield, or obviously, bit of a spoiler here, but obviously El Neni's going to have some more competition in midfield.
Yeah, but no, he's definitely one for the future. He's not even one for the future. He's definitely going to be able to do a job. See, the thing is that we need more than just one or two people there. Yeah, you know, and I think we'll have. So that means our central kind of defensive midfield will be, you know, we'll have about 6 or 7 players who can all do fucking great jobs there. And you need that kind of depth if you want to compete on more than one front.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So you think So you think 30 million then for Granit Xhaka is well spent?
Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, actually, now, to be honest with you, usually those kind of early season or early transfers window season signings.
Yes.
Are kind of, there's a big kind of, oh, look who they got, because it's like fresh, it's a new signing. And, you know, they don't usually tend to, like Podolski was one of those, and it was like, oh wow, we've got Podolski, and then it kind of, I was like, oh, it's Podolski, yay.
Podolski, yeah, that's it.
Well, I think that's some more Instagram photos, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's something more to do with Podolski, the player, rather than we've signed him early.
No, I know. I'm just
you guys got him out of contract, though, didn't you?
I got my hopes up about Podolski, and I'm just tentative about doing it again.
Yeah, well, exactly. But I do believe like Xhaka will come in and he'll do a good job. In fact, actually, hilariously enough, if the rumours are to be believed, he will be given Coquelin's number of 34 because he has that tattooed onto his back.
That's interesting.
It's actually it really is tattooed onto his back. It's his first ever professional number, and he always wanted
that number. Yeah.
Number.
It makes you think then makes you think what number will free up for Coquelin then.
Well, with Arteta, Flamini, and Rosicky got him. Like, there's a lot of numbers. I wouldn't like to see him in a number 7, but
no, the number 7's going to Alexis.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Coquelin will be given Arteta's number 8. Apparently, Czech is to be given the number 1 as well.
Interesting. It's all a bit of a shake-up then, which segues into the next point I was going to make, was that your midfield is going to get completely overhauled, isn't it? Because there's a lot of rumblings about lads like Wilshere, Walcott, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Campbell. Those lads are not going to be... Do you think those guys are going to stay in the summer, or are they going to move on?
Campbell, no. Oxlade-Chamberlain, I think he's into the last 2 years of his contract.
Yeah.
And so I think the death clock is on him. Because, to be honest with you, like, one of the things I was hilariously wrong about this season, even more so than who would win it and who would go down and all the other shit. Yeah. Because I was predicting at the start of the season that this would be the season that Oxlade-Chamberlain would really kick on and show us all what he's fucking made of.
And it's weird because we kind of said the same thing the year before and it didn't happen. He just hasn't kicked on either. It's really weird.
But this season kicked off with us winning the Community Shield against Chelsea, and he scored a goal in that.
That's probably what kind of started the hype, wasn't it?
You know, but he played an absolute blocker.
He played very well.
He absolutely pissed all over them.
His consistency of play, though, it's like he can do that against Chelsea, but then he slips up and lets 3 goals pass against Southampton. You know,
exactly. He won't. Yeah, he needs consistency, and I think this season with injuries and his lack of consistency, he's jumped backwards in his development, and I think after 4+ years of trying to develop him, to see him take such a huge step back, I think is kind of I don't think he'll get his contract renewed. I think his last 2 years will be a kind of right here. You've really got to step up. You've got to shit or get off the pot, pal.
Yeah. Now here's a big question that I'm going to ask, and it's going to probably either make you annoyed at me or it's going to give a very interesting answer. Let's breaking down Arsenal's season. You're second in the league, and in every cup competition you've been in, you were dispatched fairly early on. Like you were got rid of it by Barcelona the last 16, which was an achievement in of itself, considering how bad the group stages were. You were knocked out in the 6th round by Watford in the FA Cup, which you were trying to defend, and League Cup 4th round, you're knocked out by Sheffield Wednesday. Very poor cup run, let's be fair. You had a very unhappy home support for a good while. There's a few like nucleated protests at the manager and general people upstairs just at the way the club was being run. But the question I want to ask is, has second place saved Arsene Wenger?
I don't think second place itself, but the whole thing of finishing above Tottenham and having the fans forget how badly we did.
But you see, is that going to quell the unhappiness that's there?
Oh God, no! But I think it'll soften it slightly.
Interesting.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is that we'll never ever sack him.
He'll have to leave on his own terms.
Yeah, he will always be given that, like, the respect that he will leave when he wants to. I guarantee if he turned around tomorrow and said, "Yeah, I reckon I could do this for another season after this one," you know, the board would automatically grant him a 1-year extension. But I think it's getting to the point where I think he's starting to doubt whether or not he's good enough. I mean, one of the things I remember about Arteta leaving was, I think, one of the interviews that he gave, which was actually brutally honest for a fucking footballer, which was he even said that he'd been training as hard as he'd ever done in years after recovering from the injury, but that he was only ever at 80%, even though he was full training and he was killing it. He was only ever 80%, and it just wasn't good enough. And he had to kind of resign to himself to the fact that he just wasn't good enough anymore.
Yes.
Which is quite hilarious, which is unbelievable honesty from a footballer. And I think that's kind of starting to seep in with Wenger as well, in that Wenger's starting to look at himself. He's starting to assemble a fucking pretty shit-hot team. You know, he's getting in people like Alexis, he's getting in Mesut Ozil. He's got youth team, absolute screamers from the youth team coming up, like Bellerin.
Yeah. It will be.
He's building a project that can be taken over by someone.
That's it. That's also another thing as well. Yeah, I guarantee he'll get it to a point where he'll think, right, I can't better this. Get somebody else in.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. You see, in that time, he has been overtaken by Leicester, who obviously has overtaken everybody. People will probably see it as an outlier as well. But let's not forget, Tottenham really should have overtaken you guys this season. It was purely by the fact they just did a Tottenham on the final 2 matches. They didn't. But by all accounts, they had you guys on the ropes for the vast majority of the season. And ultimately, they let themselves down. So in that way, he's kind of feeling the pressure as well. So it's like, Jesus, I've been like caught by several teams this season that I didn't expect, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
But at the same token,
the Newcastle result was definitely a get out of jail free card.
But
I don't think he's ever. I think he knows that he's never under pressure of getting sacked. He's just under the pressure of
his own internal pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, he's under his own internal pressure of erasing his own legacy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I think that would hurt him far more than, you know, having Spurs finish above us or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
I think Leicester winning the league won't bother him too much because
it's not meant to be sustainable, basically.
That's not sustainable. What happened there? It's great what happened there. Don't get me wrong. I'm delighted about it, but it's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
Well, certainly not for the next couple of years, anyway.
I don't think so. No.
No, I really don't. Yeah. And I think that's just pretty much it. I don't think there's ever a case of did second place save him. I think it didn't save him from the board.
No.
It probably saved him from itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. So I think that'll be overall a general positive review of Arsenal. Could have done better. Could have done worse. I think it's
No.
saving grace, as we say.
Should have done better.
Yes.
Should have done better.
Yeah.
I think that's.
But could have been worse as well.
Could have been a shitload worse.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, we're, the writing's on the wall. I think this probably will be. I think the 16-17 season almost certainly will be Wenger's last season.
If they can find someone to replace him, that's the thing.
That's the point. That's also another thing. Like if we do a Manchester United and sign some fucking lunatic,
some coincidentally Dutch. You see, I spared some thought for this actually, and I'll probably come back to this later on in the show. But there was one manager that struck me as the perfect Arsenal manager, and I saw it in the way his team played and the 1-2s and just the build up play and how fast it was. And that fella.
Simeone?
No, Unai Emery, the Sevilla boss. Because I watched because I saw how his team.
The guy currently earmarked for Everton.
Indeed, yeah. Now we don't know if that's true or not, but I think Everton would be pretty fucking stoked to have someone like him. But we'll get to Everton later on. Let's move on then to from a very high note to a very low note, alphabetically speaking. Let's move on to Aston Villa, who
I don't think this will be so much a review, more of a fucking autopsy.
I think this is more of a wake. To be fair, this is a speech you'd make at a funeral.
No, you only hold a wake for somebody who had a rich, full, brilliant life that you adored. Whereas Villa this season have been just fucking awful. Man, I'm telling you.
I mean, the stats really don't lie, lads. I mean, bottom of the table, 17 points. They're really down there with the worst teams.
Derby a few years ago had 13 points.
Yeah, that's the record.
That's the record. Yeah, when they just had 15 losses.
They aren't the worst of the worst. Come on, some positives for them.
Hang on, let me try and catch that silver lining from the cloud coming past me. No, it's too far. Yeah. Can't get it. But look, I mean, the stats don't lie, really. I mean, they just had. You look at the transfers they made. Right, that's the first. First of all, I have no positives written down for Aston Villa. There is no redeeming factor for that. The writing's in on the wall for a long time. They've just struggled to get wins all for seasons past, and just managed to survive by the skin of their teeth. Whether it be by managerial appointments or just having one top player dragging the rest of the squad there. And that top player for a long time was Benteke.
Actually,
and then Fabian Delph as well.
I was about to say him and Vlaar as well.
Vlaar was a big, that's one thing that people have just kind of forgotten about, was having that pillar of strength in defence. When you think about it, they just kind of let him go. Really, it was really weird.
See, the thing is that Villa are kind of the demonstration that you can't gut the spine out of your team.
Yes.
You can't lose your three best players, Delph, Benteke, Vlaar, and then sink the money into some mid-table French league players and expect anything to happen.
Yeah, well believe it or not, I mean, Aston Villa this year spent 66 million on transfers, and I think it's about 11 or 12 players. And like you said, most of them were from the French league. Yeah.
I actually have one here that some guy called Idrissa Gueye.
Yeah. Oh, Idrissa Gueye. Yes.
Yeah, he had 10 yellow cards this season, and I've never heard of him. He has such a bad disciplinary record.
Well, remarkably, I would say Guy's been probably one of the better players this season. It was the weirdest thing. They have by the sum of their own parts, the individual players are decent, but it's just the wrong situation for them to be in. You can tell from the outset when Tim Sherwood was in charge, obviously he's called Dim Tim for a reason, and you don't sign precocious French players to go into a team that's very obviously gonna be in a relegation scrap. There just seems to be a bit of delusion by the Villa club, thinking, no, we're gonna be mid-table. There's teams behind us that's gonna be in trouble. We'll just sign all these there was some really raw talents as well. They signed the likes of Amavi and Adama Traore, who remarkably, and I read this during the season, I couldn't believe it, they can't play Adama Traore anymore because of a clause in the contract, meaning that if he plays a certain number of matches, they'll have to increase double his wages basically. Which is if you're at the negotiating table and you see that, just pull out. You should not agree to that at all. You know, and that's where you're getting spanked then when you're like have to go for relegation and now have to try and sell these players with like clauses like that. We'll come back. Newcastle have the same thing as well. We'll get to them later on.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, see, the funny thing that you mentioned Tim Sherwood there. The thing is that I think Tim, by the end of it, I think his last game was they lost 2-1 at home to Swansea. I think.
Yeah, I think it was that. Yeah.
I remember like the the TV cameras picking up. He was running up and down the pitch, flapping his hands like a fucking duck getting tasered, and it didn't seem like the players gave a shit.
No,
so I suppose that you're saying, oh well, they got rid of Tim Sherwood. I think he was probably, in fairness, I say he saw which way the wind was blowing there. He was fucking delighted to go.
Yeah, I think so.
And in the end, now you've got a shitload of people. I mean, like there's certainly a lot of people. Whenever I spark up the Villa conversation, they always turn around and say, "I guarantee you, if Sherwood had stayed, they wouldn't have gone down." Now they mightn't have done great. They probably would have scraped, say, 16th or some shit like that.
Well, I would have said now if Sherwood would have stayed,
having someone consistently in charge, you know, who plays by the same, like not changing it up like as many times as they did. Like change formations, change who's been played, who's, you know, picking the team, whose assistant manager's got to be working. You know, it was so incohesive.
Yeah.
That there was no way the team was going to be able to stay up.
Well, I think it's fair to say, I think it's fair to say they made the absolutely wrong decision in getting Remy Gardin, who is someone whose only managerial experience is managing Lyon, one of the best sides in France. So you're already starting like with a very steady position. You're not going to be in trouble when you're managing Lyon. You're going to have like the best possible players to work with. You're going to have a league that's very easy to work with as well. You don't get someone who has no experience in a relegation scrap. You get someone English, you get someone who has been in it before and has been successful. Everyone said this at the time, but when they signed Gard, they said, like, oh, okay, fair enough, but was Nigel Pearson not available? Was Big Sam not available? You know, it's decisions like that crippled Aston Villa, I found.
I think it's so out of favour these days, and I genuinely don't understand why, because any team goes into, he does the job at.
Yeah.
He really does.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. And even lads from the Championship you could have like tried to attract. You could have tried to get Mick McCarthy or Steve Bruce or lads like or anyone like them. They would have done a job for you, and it's not about having the best players or having a Moneyball effect, because I think that's what Villa were trying to do by having those players in. We're trying to say, oh yes, we've just like developed this guy who we bought for 8 million. We'll sell him off for 20 now, like they did with Benteke. Because they're thinking, oh yeah, we can do that again now. Because we have a system that will work for that. Clearly not the case. So it just so much wrong with that club. And again, I had the negative. The club was just in serious jeopardy, just generally, like or corporately, let's just say. And just this week, then they've been taken over by a Chinese billionaire, Dr. Tony Zia. Who,
well, Lerner's been trying to get shot at them for fucking years.
Yeah, they have. He's been trying to get rid of the club overall.
The thing about Villa is that Villa are the inevitable result of a short-termist policy.
Yeah.
You know? And to be honest with you, the exact same shit happened at Newcastle, which we'll get on to later, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like, at the very least, because Mike Ashley never liked Newcastle.
No.
I mean, he always considered Newcastle to be his own personal fucking piggy bank.
Yeah.
You know, but at least when Lerner took over at Villa, he actually started off on a good note. You know, he put Acorns on the shirt. That's like a local children's hospice. You know, I think Martin O'Neill was the manager at the time.
Yeah, that was like the highlight of it. That was like the best time to be a Villa fan, when you have Martin O'Neill there, who epitomised.
He had money to spend.
Yeah,
he had money to spend, and I think they were even giving out like free scarves. But like, I think the fans actually pilloried it with "Proud History, What Future?" Yeah, because the free scarves that Lerner gave out had "Proud History, Bright Future" written on it. But now he's an absentee owner. He's fucked off, and now he's shedded the club off to China. Yeah. But it's funny you were saying about Gard. I just looked up there. Remy Gard was manager for 147 days.
What? And he'll never come back.
You know, and that's just the thing. Like, there was no vision at the top. You know, there was no. The
they literally just looked at who was the most famous name they could find, and think that will solve it. And that's not how football works. You go for the player who is the best fit or sorry,
Absolutely.
best manager who's the best fit, and you go for
The
someone.
good-
On the new owner, I actually know a few Villa fans, and they're very happy that this guy has come in and what they say saved the club.
I think
not
anyone,
better.
they're just happy that someone took the club. I think because it was looking like Jesus, it could have gone to anybody. You know, it could have gone to no one. Like it could have been a
To
lot
be
worse
honest,
for Villa.
To be honest, I was predicting a lead.
Yeah, and it could very well still be a Leeds. We don't know yet. You know, it's really hard to say.
The Chinese money, I severely doubt it.
Yeah, maybe. We'll have to wait and see with Villa anyway. But obviously, relegation is going to be a huge reset. If they can, they're going to try and release as many players as they can because the wage bill is going to be massive.
I can also see them getting up again forever. Really.
I can't see them going straight back up anyway. It's going to take them. I see them not as a Leeds, but I see them as a Fulham, where Fulham had invested so much in a squad of like fairly big names at the time, or not even big names, but big wages at the time, and just completely lost sight of what they were supposed to be doing, and are now still only in the championship and struggling in the championship as well, no less. And they have still a very good squad. It's so weird, you know. That's the way it goes.
It's so weird, but looking back on it, we should have really seen it because when you're paying cunts like Jolie and Lescott money to play football,
fucking Alan Hutton is still in the Aston Villa squad. The fucker who said
Hutton's
he was
not
going to
happening.
retire from club football to concentrate on his international performance. The fuck ever says that? Like that's you
Also,
have
Jack
someone in
Grealish.
that squad who does
That's
that.
what Jack Grealish just did.
Who?
yeah,
Who? Jack
Exactly.
Grealish. It's just no. I never heard of him before.
We hate him for an entirely different reason, other than the fact.
There was
that he's a prick.
I will say, Aston Villa have been the hotbed of loathsome players this season. Like you've had,
It really has.
you know, I've mentioned Hutton, I've mentioned Gabby Agbonlahor, of course, who just utter shambles generally. Who else?
Oh,
Who else? Jolien Lescott, obviously. Yeah, we
I
mentioned.
will admit to actually quite enjoying Gabby Agbonlahor's sad, flabby demise. I will admit.
Sad Flabby Demise. That's his name of his autobiography now.
You know,
Oh man.
it's sort of like watching a car crash.
Yeah.
You know, as you're driving slowly by, and then realizing that that's Jose Mourinho's car. And you're
that's foreshadowing for later.
I'm putting the handbrake up for this one. I'm gonna watch this fucker burn.
Fucking periscoping it just for the crack, yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway, let's move on from Villa then, because we're only going to make ourselves sad. Let's move on to a team that's going to make us happy, and that's AFC Bournemouth, who have miraculously survived in the Premier League. They finished 16th, 42 points, and lads, you'd have to say that is more than satisfying for Bournemouth. They have been fantastic this season. I've loved
They
Bournemouth
really
from
have.
start to finish. You
Like
know.
it hasn't just been about kind of grinding out results or anything. They've actually played some decent football as
Yeah.
well.
And the beauty and the astounding thing is the way they recovered, because when you think about it, at the start of the season, they lost their three biggest players to the same injury. They lost the ACLs. They lost Max Gradle, and they lost Tyrone Mings, and they lost Callum Wilson, who was their big cash cow. And they're only coming
Callum
back
Wilson.
now.
To be honest with you, Callum Wilson, I was really looking forward to what that guy could do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was fine.
Yeah, he was flying. He was looking forward to the playing in the Premier League, and then he goes and badly wrecks his ACL.
Yeah, that's something that was just a general trend at the early season. Just like Liverpool had this as well with Gomez and Ings, and the crew from Newcastle had this as well. It was just like in this space of like 2 months, people just tearing ACLs and out for the season. I was like, fuck, this is going to happen all season now, isn't it? Thankfully it calmed down, because they must have found out what was causing it.
Yeah, either that or the ACL sniper fucking ran out of ammunition.
Yeah. Really should stop that guy. He shouldn't be allowed, man.
At least stop him coming into the fucking grounds. Like, come on.
You'd think the sniper rifle was a dead giveaway, you know? Like, I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Some security can be lax these days, you know? But for me, actually, the best thing about Bournemouth was that they were such an entertaining side to watch. I mean, there's 4 occasions I can name just this season that I deliberately sat down and watched a Bournemouth match because I wanted to see what was going to happen. The first one was the West Ham game, which was 4-3 to Bournemouth. And it was just like, this one West Ham were just like fucking Mad Hatters as well. Just like, fuck it, we don't need tactics, let's just try and attack everything. And like Bournemouth somehow beat them at their own game. The other one then were the two, and I can only describe these, the two most entertaining like victories of the season. They beat Chelsea 1-0 and they beat United 2-1 away as well. Both of them were away in the space of a week. And this is just at the like height of Mourinho losing his mind. And he had all these players that he bought, like Hazard, Diego Costa, Pedro, and they were all taken down by Glenn Murray. Just like a fella who's going to get like carted out to a championship side, I guarantee, because he's not interesting enough. But he did the job for those 2 games, and he's going to be forever immortalized for that. Yeah. And I think that was it, really. There was another game, I think it was Everton, and it was the 3-3, and they were just like, the 96th minute, have a minute, do you know what, let's not like do long ball, let's just play football, and work their way up the pitch. And it fucking worked! Like any other club, that would have failed miserably, and they would have been slated for not like putting them under pressure or giving it to the guy up front. No, they played their own way, and it worked out for them. And that's the only thing you can really say about Bournemouth, is that it worked out. And it worked out beautifully. But the difference is, though, they're going to have to do the same thing now next season, where they have to basically recruit well and keep that squad together, and again try and get like new defenders, build on it. Yeah, exactly. And they're going to
they'll definitely have the money to do it.
Yeah, they have a lot of investment. That's for sure.
Those Glen Murray shirt sales that
Rachel, I think you find they're called
billions.
Yeah, they're called Murray mints, by the way, because they keep spending they're just flying off the shelves. They're making so much money. But yeah, they're going to have like a bigger challenge next year to stay up, because you're going to have teams like Middlesbrough and possibly either Hull or Sheffield Wednesday. They're like fairly like robust units, and you have like teams next season that will try and recover from like this campaign. So I think it's going to be tougher for them to stay up next season. But fuck it, they've had fun now. So
I like Eddie Howe as a manager.
I think he's fantastic. I've seen
him as well. I really hope he sticks around.
Yeah.
I do
too. I think he's a really honest guy, and I really enjoy his just contributions to the league.
Yeah. You can see him definitely getting picked up by a top 10 squad now, or I can see him being like an Everton boss or a Spurs or a Liverpool boss at some stage, because those teams like, oh, nice open play with no defensive mind, sign him up right away, we'll take him no bother. Who's Roberto Martinez again? Anyway, the one problem though, I thought, obviously the ACL injuries are a problem, but they had a lot of heavy defeats this season, and that's something they'll have to like sort out in the transfer window, I think.
Yeah,
definitely.
But they've got a good base. I mean, like they've got great players. But basically, I think their targets really should be strong central midfield players, a solid keeper, and maybe another centre back. I mean, I think a
complete overhauling of the defence to get some like very experienced.
Really. I mean,
England, like the experienced defenders. You don't want to get foreign lads.
Charlie Daniels had a fucking special season.
Daniels is fantastic. I really like him.
King has come. Your man Josh King, he's come on in leaps and bounds.
Yeah, good striker actually.
Simon Francis, who had to fill in both at centre back and right back at times in this season, he was superb. So I reckon, like when it comes to the defense, I reckon they only need another specialist central defender. Although, to be honest with you, I really hate the whole specialist defender term.
Well, that's the thing. Would you need a specialist when you have like a fella called like Steve Cook, who is able to like go up front and score, for corners? Like that's a skill that's very useful. Yeah. So it's. I think mostly it's the goalkeeper. I think they need to get, because Jesus Christ, Artur Boric, lads.
Yeah.
Whew. And then Federici is fine, but he's limited.
He's not somebody who inspires. Full stop at defence.
I don't think he inspires, he conspires. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So yeah, overall positive result for Bournemouth. So let's move on to our next club then, which is Chelsea. Right. So let's get the stats out of the way. Position 10th in the league. 50 points.
Fucking disastrous.
Absolute shambles. From
hilarious.
Yeah. That I was about to say. The one word you could use to describe Chelsea's season was hilarious, because
It was hilarious.
it was like the pantomime villain got his comeuppance from like last season. Where people were chanting like boring, boring Chelsea, and people like annoyed at Mourinho being right. And then straight from the off this season, there was like something happened, something shambolic happened every week for Mourinho.
See, the funny thing is that like it was difficult to actually tell where the malaise was even coming from.
Yeah, it's so weird. It just happened.
That's how deep,
yeah.
Like, you could say, was it the players? Was it the manager? I mean, like, it was almost certainly like a combination of both toxic elements combining to form this kind of super toxic environment.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it's so bad there that I actually feel empathy for Conte having to walk into that fucking disaster zone.
Well, I get the feeling that
to make me feel sympathy for an Italian manager. Oh man,
going into Chelsea,
especially going into Chelsea. I mean, to be honest with Conte, he's got his work cut out.
Yeah, he does. He certainly does. It's going to be a big job next season for him. Which is funny because he's a very...
I can see massive overhauls this summer with big name players being let go or sold off. I can just see a complete overhaul of that team, because whether the players are good enough or, fantastic players themselves, whether they're going to work under a complete system is, it's up for him to decide.
That's the thing, you see. Will the market go for players like that? Because they've seen how Hazard has performed. And let's be delicate about this. His season only lasts for about 4 games. Like the last 4 games. Hasn't been featured at all. And you have defenders like Ivanovic and Cahill, or Terry even, that have just been so off the pace. And Fabregas, who has looked overweight all season, I found.
Yeah.
And
to be honest with you, the only player that Chelsea can look back, Conte can look back on and go, I can rely on him, is Willian.
Yes, I was about to say, because he was amazing this season.
He was the only player who gave 100% for almost every game, no matter how fucking god awful everybody was around him. It seemed like he was playing with 10 sacks of shit around him, and it still didn't put him off.
His free kicks this season.
That's how bad they were. They made me like Willian. That's how bad they were.
Yeah.
But his free kicks though were amazing. Yeah, just fantastic.
It made me feel slightly sorry for Fabregas, because he's kind of I've really messed up.
I wouldn't feel bad for Fabregas at all.
I don't feel bad for him at all. Yeah. I think he's made his bed, and he's only now realised that somebody else is pissed in it.
You think he'd know about it, yeah.
He's been made to sleep in that bed, and he's complaining. And he's like, no, man. You chose that bed. You go sleep there. I don't care about the piss. Yes, it was a homeless man.
Yeah. But obviously, I think we'll start off by saying one positive, and I'd say it's having young players actually in a first team squad for Chelsea when Hiddink took charge. Because
to be honest with you, to be honest, right, it's bound to happen that they have young players coming into their first team, because they own all the fucking young players.
That is true.
They own
yes.
all of them. They have all of them.
The Chelsea loan farm. Yes.
They formed their own little club.
The WhatsApp group, to be precise. Yes. WhatsApp group. Fucking hell.
It's bad. It's.
But the young player farm that is Chelsea.
It really is.
It's called Vitus Arnhem.
Isn't there talk of didn't I read there that Gus Hiddink's actually going to stay on to manage?
He's going to be an advisor for Chelsea. Talent advisor.
That's how bad their loan farm system is, that their previous manager has to fucking stay on to deal with.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's so much nonsense about it. Just keep it simple. Chelsea have always been like this. They overcomplicate it. They try and have fucking the owner basically buying players for them. It's just I know that name, I'll get him, and all this. And there's no cohesion between coach and up above. Because you saw there, the best example of this was the transfers this season. Let's look at it, right? You had Begovic, which was a decent signing because he wanted a backup goalkeeper anyway. But waste of a goalkeeper, though, for number 2. Absolute waste. But let's look at everything else, right?
In all fairness, though, he's gotten a lot more game time than I ever thought he would, given that Courtois wrecked his name.
Yeah, that's mostly it, yeah. But look at all the other players, like Baba Rahman, okay, is a superb left back. But just Mourinho didn't know who he was. He just didn't play him, didn't feature him. It was only because of hitting that he got into the squad, right?
Yeah.
Then you have fucking Falcao. Did you not see last season and saw how bad he was for United? What made you think he was going to be better for you this season?
I honestly thought that was just Mourinho going.
That was the fucking agent. Him and Mourinho have the same agent, Mino Raiola, and he just said, "Do you know what? This guy needs a club. Do you want to give him help out? Yeah, fuck it, just pay me money. It's fine.
Yeah, just give me a yacht, and I'll recommend my club to fucking sign him.
Give me yacht.
Here's a yacht.
That's a glowing endorsement of Yop if I've ever heard it.
Pretty much, that's it. I mean, to be honest.
And what was the other transfer as well? Carry on, Neil. I'm thinking here.
Wasn't they signed Zuma?
They signed him last season, but was used.
He's only played this season.
But
he's been kind of like a new signing. But no, to be honest with you, like the one Chelsea supporting friend I had, like he turned around and he was just like, what I think was hilarious to discuss about Chelsea is their massive drop from last season when they seemed like they were indestructible, and the drop off this season was just brilliant.
Yeah,
I mean it was like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
It's like,
it was actually just so strange to see, because you were looking at the fixture results last year and saying, "Oh, Chelsea are playing United, they're going to win. Oh, Chelsea are playing, Villa, they're going to win." And then this season, it was like, "Wait, what? Villa?" Or whoever all of the surprise winners were. It was like
it was quite frankly, it was a hilarious downfall, and it's the best way you can describe it. It was just hilarious. But the writing was kind of on the wall. Mourinho's kind of had this thing that he doesn't last at a club long. It's always short-term success for him, and by the time the third year comes around, he's gone. And it's just it's proven very much the case now. Now we're gonna go to them later on, but Manchester United are going to appoint Jose Mourinho, and are they thinking he's going to be there for long-term success? Because that's clearly not going to be the case. He's there to win a league title in the first or second year, and then other shambles the third year. Because it's happened before. It's happened at Chelsea the first time. It's happened at Inter, Real. Yeah. So, what's their logic really? I think they're just desperate to be champions again.
It's a case of the same short-termist. Kind of same short-termism that we talked about at Villa and Newcastle. Only that due to the sheer amount of money and skill that they've got, they're not obviously going to get fucking relegated. Yeah. Even though Chelsea did actually touch the relegation zone under Mourinho,
which was so weird to see. They were still there for a long time. Yeah. And it's just wow. It was at the time as well. The league was just so fucking crazy. With obviously Leicester were up there and West Ham were up there, and the whole world was upside down. In any
case, when it comes to signings and shit like that, Conte's gonna have to dig deep into Abramovich's pockets.
Yeah, because you have lads there. Well, then again, you see, Conte's working on a different system, so players like Pedro could actually be used. I found that transfer myself to be the most frustrating thing ever. Because you literally just signed Pedro to piss off United. You're not going to use him. Yeah.
They do that all the time.
They do it to us all the time. You sign fucking Willian, Diego Costa, fucking who else? Salah. All those three players that we saw them first, and they just went, fuck off, they're ours, and we're not going to use them. They're only using Willian now, which is 3 years later. And Diego Costa, I think I'm glad we didn't go for him because I would have fucking lynched him myself. But even Salah, we could have you could have been useful for Salah as well, having a nice tidy winger on there. But that's all in hindsight anyway. Either way, Chelsea have been hilariously bad this season, and I think it's only fair that we just laugh at them for the rest of the summer until they probably get their shit together midway through next season, because that's probably going to happen.
I see Conte being as letting Chelsea get as bad as they were this season. I can see him, doing a complete overhaul, and then we're going to see a completely different Chelsea side.
Yeah, he is apparently quite the ruthless fella. He's he either likes you or he doesn't, and if he doesn't like you, you're out. So he's kind of like a Fergie character in a way, from what I've heard. But again, we'll probably see that from the Euros this summer.
Yeah, I heard about Conte that he is a bit of a ruthless bastard. I mean, one of the key kind of anecdotes I've heard about him came from Buffon, when I think
He would have been Juve boss, you understand?
Yeah, it was at Juve, yeah. And they'd already won the league. It was the last game of the season, but they'd won the league like 4 games previous.
Yeah.
You know, and in the team little discussion, I think the owner came in and started with Buffon and started talking about like player bonuses and like what money they're going to be paid, you know, at the end of the season. Yeah. And apparently he took the 2 of them outside and went fucking mental at the 2 of them. Absolutely ballistic at the 2 of them.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was just like, yeah, that's Conte. They went out, I think they won 3-1.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. Like it's almost like what's the director I'm thinking of? It's like it's that kind of effect between or it's like that fine line between genius and like crazy. You know, it makes sense in his head and it usually will work, but you have to go along with him to do that. It's the.
But either way, I do believe Chelsea next season will be interesting.
It will be, because it's going to be an interesting summer anyway. You know, because they're going to have to get rid of people first, just because there's a lot of deadwood in the squad. There are players that's going to want to leave, I find. At least some of the reserve players that aren't being used. Like, Jesus Christ, they're going to have to try and get rid of fucking the likes of Hazard. I think Hazard is going to try and get away, at least. Because he's...
I think Courtois is as well, isn't he?
Possibly, yeah. But the thing is, where's Courtois going to go? You know, there has to be a team
literally
that's looking for
anywhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, like, seriously, like, there's probably no team that won't sign him.
This is true. Anyway, that's enough about Chelsea. Let's press on then with our London chums, Crystal Palace, who had a Crystal Pardew.
Kiss my face.
Kiss my face. Nice.
Dance with me.
We'll get to that, Rach. Don't worry. We'll get to that. So, the stats are interesting for Crystal Palace. Very much a season of 2 halves. They finished 15th with 42 points. But let's not forget, at the start of the season, they were 5th. In fact, they were 5th at Christmas, which is remarkable to say, considering where they finished now. And it's very much... I don't know, are you guys thinking there was a touch of Newcastle in Crystal Palace this season? A touch of the Pardew, maybe?
Well, go on. I think if you look at the season as a whole, it's actually been quite a good year for Palace. I mean, they survived.
Yeah.
They've actually secured a massive amount of investment to rebuild.
Oh yeah, they got a lot of Yanks in to invest.
They got a lot of Yankee money to go in and rebuild it, and they made the FA Cup final for the 2nd time ever.
Yeah, that's an achievement in and of itself, and that has to be said.
Now that's an achievement of itself. Now, the thing is that, like, obviously, overall stats kind of hide the individual scars.
Yeah. In
that, I think in the whole of 2016, they only had 2 wins.
That is shameful, I think. Just like,
you know,
how can you just... It's almost like they gave up, in a way.
It really is. I mean, I think that it depends on... I think there's a big fear that towel will not be picked up again, and that form will be carried over into the next season, you know? Now, don't get me wrong. If had they won the FA Cup, I'd be like saying, "Oh, this has been the best season, greatest season ever in history. Nothing's going wrong." You know, like this is all with hindsight. This is all with hindsight of an FA Cup loss. But the thing is that.
Well, see, you're right in what you're saying, because with an FA Cup win, as you said, cup winners, and they get European football straight in. And look how many doors open then for Crystal Palace. How many lads can they sign? Of course, they can go too far that way and end up like fucking Hull like last season and go, oh yeah, no, we'll sign Hatem Ben Arfa and Gaston Ramirez, says Steve Bruce, who apparently, I'm guessing, had no like input in the situation because he'd never signed those 2 players, you know. No. But it depends really. I think, for me personally, the biggest positive of Palace's season was when they signed Johan Cabaye from PSG. That was a huge statement of intent from Crystal Palace.
And it paid off for the first half of the season.
Yeah, it did.
And
14 million.
January, I think he got, was it sent off, and then on his match back he got injured, or
he had a rough year in itself. Now he didn't really have much form because it was like, as you said, it was interrupted. And they were really missing him then. But
also with that as well, like the improvement, I think it's not. I think with Palace, it's not who they brought in. Of course, yes, they brought in Kabay and he's been fucking wicked for them.
Yeah.
But I think actually as well, it's more the incredible improvement in the players that they do have. For instance, Zaha has been his defense. He's now actually got defensive nous that he never had before, and it's unbelievable how he's not won more England caps. Is, I think, a bit baffling to me.
Yeah, because he's a specialist position now in the English squad. When you think about it, he's
really
an out-and-out left winger. You know?
Connor Wickham has improved massively.
Now I'm going to contest that, Neil, because I have down as a negative.
Improved.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, you were fucking on the bench at Sunderland. You're going to improve anyway when you're going for first team football.
The team don't really play to his strengths quite a lot. Especially, I'm like, just taking the FA Cup as an example, he was horrendously isolated.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you play somebody that far away from everybody else, they're never going to work.
Especially when you have a big lad like him whose movement isn't going to be his strength. It's the fact that he's going to be on the ball and it's going to be impossible to get the ball off. You know.
When it comes down to it, like Balassi and Scott Dan, very solid.
Yeah. I think Scott Dan himself now has had a great season. And I think it's a shame. It is such a shame he hasn't been like even considered, even like spoken about for the Euros. Yeah. I think so, because you look at the defenders.
James McCarthy's been really good as well.
Yeah, he was. Again, he's a specialist decision. He's there to do a job, and once you kind of acknowledge him, shit, he's actually done a good job.
To be honest with you, it's only for the fact that Wayne Hennessy has had such a fucking string of howlers, which is the only reason that defense hasn't picked up more clean sheets. Because they've been great, but Hennessy, when Hennessy's just not in the game, he really truly fucking isn't in the game.
Yeah. Well, see, this is the thing, and this is again 2 negatives I have down for Crystal Palace. We were just talking of them there. One of them was the fact that I think they have one of the worst strike forces in the league. And the reason I say that is because you look at their strike force. Connor Wickham, who obviously is a signing, hopefully will get better next season because he's that kind of confident striker. You need to motivate him and
he needs better service.
Exactly. And then you have other lads like Emmanuel Adebayor, who was who was there, scored a goal against Watford, and that's it.
You're talking to 2 Arsenal fans. Don't even mention. You do not.
We don't have all night, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Take him out back and shoot him through the foot. Actually, don't even waste the bullet. Beat him to death with the butt of the fucking gun.
And then we have other names like Fraser Campbell, who's still at the club for some reason, Dwight Gale, and Patrick Bamford, who was never used, which I think is rotten shit. Absolutely bad form, I think, from Palace. Never not to use him. And then again, that ties into my points.
Like a good bit throughout the season.
Yeah.
He's popped up in a match, got an important goal here and there, so I don't know whether you can give out like Gale too much.
Well, I think Gale has had a strong end to the season. I found, especially in the FA Cup now, because he's scored a lot of crucial goals in the cup. League form not so much, and believe it or not, Gale is the top scorer with 7 goals, and Scott Dan 5 goals, and he's supposed to be a defender. So it's a really bizarre kind of system. I think they need to really sort out their strikers next season if they want to survive, to do any better this next season. You never know. I think Pardew,
a striker who can manage double figures.
Yeah, definitely. You never know. Wickham could be that player. You just don't know. And another thing as well, there is a lot of like players in that squad now that Pardew just aren't using. Like Bamford was an example of them, but then you have lads like Chung Yong Lee, who apparently was enticed to play for Palace because of what Pardew says, and then was never used. Martin Kelly.
Isn't Sacco there as well?
Bakary Sacco, yeah, he's another one. And Martin Kelly just completely hasn't been used at all because Joel Ward has been so decent for Crystal Palace. Just hasn't been gotten a game at all. I think they have other lads like fucking Mariappa, who I don't know why he's still here. And obviously Glenn Murray was there for a spell. And like, how are these people existing? I don't know. But that was Crystal Palace anyway. And obviously their season was more so defined in their cup run rather than their league run, which is a shame because they had a really lovely start to the season and they could have cracked on.
Yeah. So I reckon like Crystal Palace 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Adequate. And then, what about Pardew's dance moves then at the final? -6 out of 10?
That's the highlight of their season.
Absolutely.
No, the highlight of their season was the big fucking carnation he had in the lapel. That looked like the fucking House of Horrors. I was like, please me see more.
I was half expecting him to run up to the ref and spray him in the face with it. Like, that's actually like a little water pistol. I think it's like one of those clown powers.
Just keep aiming at the fourth official, getting water in his ear, going, yeah, fucking cunt. But, shut your noise. Anyway, what have we got next? Oh, yes. Everton is our next one to talk about. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get stats out of the way. Position 11th. 47 points. They finished the season without a manager and a lot of big names linked. Positives first, I'll get out of the way. I think the biggest positive was obviously Romelu Lukaku. 18 goals this season, another really decent season from him after a bit of a slow start actually.
And he set a club record.
I think he did, yeah. I don't know if it was a club record now or just a personal record. Like the quickest player to get to 50 or something like that. Anyway, very prolific striker. Really anyway, sure, yeah. But
he hasn't scored since March, didn't he? Not.
Yeah, like I say, he was just like that was that kind of like 3 or 4 months where he was on fire and then just completely off the ball.
Teetered out completely.
And again, it happened last season, happened the year before, and it hasn't been.
Well, you see, now sorry to cut across there, but last season their poor finish was blamed because of Europe.
Yes. That's different. Now,
yeah, but that's what I mean. Like last season's poor finish was blamed on Europe. This time they have no excuse. Didn't they whop Southampton at the very start of the season?
Yeah, I believe so. That was the start of the season. I'll just double check that. Yeah,
something like 3 or 4-0.
I'll tell you now, Neil.
It was before they smashed Sunderland by some they put 6 past Sunderland.
Well, funny you should mention that actually, Neil. Their first game was a 2-2 draw with Watford, but their second game was a 3-0 smashing of Southampton. Yeah, and as you said, there's a big victory there for them as well. Everton 6, Sunderland 2, which was a game I should remember actually. But there you go.
They also beat Chelsea as well early on in the season.
Yeah, the Stephen Naismith game. I remember that well.
Yes.
Where he turned up for Everton, played one game, and then fucked off to Norwich. That was.
But to be honest with you, that was worth it for him because he'll never have to fucking pay for a hooker in Everton ever again.
In Everton, you mean Liverpool, you peasant?
Whatever.
Oh bless. But no, you are quite right though.
He's wearing the jersey. He'll be grand.
Which is funny because he's in Norwich now, so it's weird. But
no, it's just the thing is that. It's cut the cake any which way you want. It was an awful season.
It was. It ultimately negative because you look at just the players just didn't seem interested this season at all. I mean,
and the manager had absolutely no fucking ideas. In fact, the only reason that he didn't go sooner, I think, was the 2 semi-finals that they reached.
Yes, and they fucked up both.
They fucked both of them up,
yeah.
But I genuinely believe had they not reached either of those 2 semi-finals, they dropped the guillotine on Martinez.
I think the writing was on the wall for me was the Merseyside derby at the end of the season because obviously it was you could say it's like it's on a Wednesday, it's awkward for both teams. Like fuck off, it's a Merseyside derby. You're gonna be both up for it, and I only saw one team turn up and one goalkeeper. Yeah. And it was just like fucking hell. I've never seen Everton play this poorly, and just like not in the sense that they have a terrible squad. This is the best squad they've ever had.
Well, do you think world-class players in that team?
Yeah. And well, obviously we have a lot of vested interest in that squad as well. We want to see our lads doing well. But just performance-wise...
Seamus Coleman has, literally... I got to see him play for Ireland, and I also had the misfortune of watching 2 full Everton matches.
I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, I usually get the highlights.
The difference in the way he played, not only because obviously playing for your country, but you're playing for your country during a friendly is completely different from playing with your club week in, week out. But even just the lack of movement, the lack of pace, he just didn't care. Which was just...
See, he wasn't alone as well, Rach, when you think about it. There were other players that weren't performing. Like, I earmarked McCarthy was another one. Leighton Baines, I think, was very sluggish all season. Obviously coming back from injury. But they have lads like Morata.
No, sorry, it's just...
You have like
It's
lads
so-
like
it's-
Morales
it's-
as well who didn't perform at all.
Yeah, like it's funny that people always go, "Oh, this is the best Everton squad for like as soon as they can remember," and I've said that as well.
Yeah, on
But then you look
paper
at
they
that-
are. On paper they
And
are.
Not even that, but when you look at even on paper, they're not really. I'm like, I went back there because I've been trotting out that line that I have not remembered a better Everton team, and that's kind of true. I should revise that and say that I can't remember Everton having better players.
Yes, not
But
that
when you
they're
look
the
at
best
their
team.
But when you look at their team, like people like Robles or however else, however you pronounce his fucking surname, I don't give a fuck.
Just call him Joel. That's what everyone calls
Joel,
him.
yeah.
Yes.
Joel Cleverly.
that was their top marquee signing this season. Was John Tom Cleverly.
You mentioned McCarthy, Lennon, for
Yeah.
fuck's sake, Oviedo, and Howard.
What I'm saying
They're
now,
just not-
yeah.
They're just not good enough. They're
But
just not.
I think you're thinking of Funes Mori there, by the way, Neil. Was the transfer you were thinking of, not Oviedo. Oviedo was the fellow that broke his leg last season. Or maybe that's
Was
the
he
one
any
you're thinking.
good up until then?
He was decent, actually. And,
He's actually decent, yeah.
But hasn't
Alright.
been the same since the leg break. No. And it's always
Sorry.
the case with players. I think it's Funes Mori you were thinking of, I think.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Because he's a fucking hothead as well.
Yeah, but they're just not good enough.
No.
They're just not good enough.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, but like I said, so I've revised my whole.
I remember-
This is the best Everton squad I can remember. It's like no, I just can't remember Everton having better players. They've not had a good. This isn't the best Everton squad because it's polluted. Very deliberately used that word. It's polluted by players who just aren't good enough, and it was run by a manager who was clearly out of his depth. But don't get me wrong, I like Martinez as a person.
But
it's
he's a broken record though, I find. Like
Oh,
football
yes.
wise.
Yeah.
I mean you saw it at Wigan where like Wigan playing beautiful, great football with shit players. Oh, they're doing it again and they're easily sorted out and they're relegated. Well, there we go. And we go to Everton, they're playing beautiful football. Yes, they're fifth, they're going there and going, they're in the Europa League. Yes, they're playing great football. And they're doing it again. Fuck's sake. You know, they need to jazz it up. You know, it has to be the same thing over and over again. I mean, he busted out the dance moves for the fucking concert. I mean, surely he can do something different for the club. You know?
Well, we saw how it worked with Pardew.
But like, you don't... Like, Pardew is Pardew. You know? It's this...
It's
it was,
not ice.
Yeah, it's not ice. But, I think Martinez certainly... No, you saw that as well, did you? Oh, dear. But yeah, no, definitely...
Berkey has it on repeat. Yeah, it's a ringtone.
I was wondering what the noise was in the background, yeah. But, no, but yeah, definitely Martinez paying the price there.
So, Everton, all depends on the new manager.
Yeah, De Boer, Emery, there's a lot of names being linked, and I don't know if they can. I don't know if they can entice them.
I'd love to see De Boer because I really respected him as a player.
Yeah,
and I think he's been really good, but in the Dutch league, so you're not really sure how you should judge that.
But you see, he is a youth player developer, and that's what Everton would love to say. It's like, oh yes, we have these lovely players like, you know, Galloway and John Stones, and have a manager who has been at Ajax for years, and that's the only thing they do is pump out the best fucking youth players in the world. So that's, for me, De Boer is the logical choice, and he has said he would take the Everton job. So like, it's a no-brainer for me. If he's available, get him.
Yeah, then again, like I'm like, you're talking logic and the Premier League.
This is true, and Everton board
and
who
Everton
just
as well, yeah.
you know, just like this is the same
They're
Everton.
getting Big Sam, I'm telling you.
No, they're gonna get fucking Sparky Hughes in. I'd say that's what they're gonna go for. I said, you see that thing he's doing at Stoke? Let's get him in. It's just like, yeah, that's a good idea. But and the weird thing I found about Everton was as well, their home support was fucking dire this season. Like, I'm a Liverpool man myself, but when you have a home crowd that like don't even applaud or cheer anything, it's just dead silence for the majority of the game, and then they just boo at anything that happens. It's like, lads, you are causing that bad atmosphere as well by not supporting your team. And for me, that was one of the major things about Everton this season, was just the miserable home support.
Where a goal went in and it was like no one was even paying attention. It was like, oh, we got a goal. And it was like literally the quietest response. I don't think the team were kind of celebrating as if, "Way, we got a goal." I think it was a few weeks back, and they were like, "Hey, we got a goal," and like no one was like, there was just a rumble in the crowd.
Yeah,
like, that is actually pathetic.
Yeah, that for me was like the serious fucking problem with Everton. They just apathetic. Just didn't care. They just wanted to boo and say like they're not happy. It's like, fucking cheer up, lads. It could be worse, you know.
I mean, it was kind of like a downward spiral where the team were performing badly. The fans got on their back, which made the team perform worse, and then the fans just checked out.
It just snowballed.
And then the team just stopped altogether, and then the fans were like paying money just to go boo their own fucking team.
That
and it just
pissed me off so much.
You know. But anyways,
let's move on from Everton. They're miserable. Right.
On to the next one, which
is Leicester City. Leicester City. I can't believe I'm saying this, and I'm sure Gary Lineker.
What happened with them this season?
Well, funny you should mention that, Rachel, because they are Premier League champions for this year with a grand total of 80. I know, right? With 81 points.
That shit, Craig.
No, that shit be chatted, and thus it got banged. That's what happened.
Yeah. It got that.
Okay.
Somebody was chatting a lot of shit.
I think everyone was. Let's be delicate about this. Right, let's take this time now to first of all.
I think the only thing more fun than what Leicester winning this league has been the amount of fun we've all had about Leicester.
There's so many things to latch onto about this Leicester side. Like, how many players have you had fun just like paying attention to this year? Like, Jamie Vardy was the big one for all of us because everyone latched onto him.
For me, it was Mahrez.
Yeah, it eventually would be Mahrez. Yeah.
Either, to be honest, hilariously enough, I think Vardy would be fourth in my top 5 of Leicester players I've been watching, with Mahrez and with number 2 being Kante.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because of a very funny kind of quote from, I think it was from Ranieri, who said, "No matter what formation we play, we always have 3 in midfield." Midfield, and I don't know who it was in midfield. There's like, who did I have as a midfield? Who's in midfield?
Drinkwater.
Oh yeah, sorry. We always have 3 in midfield: Drinkwater and Kante on either side of them.
I love that quote, and it's so true as well. It's so true.
Wasn't there? Yeah, it was when, and also when didn't Drinkwater get sent off against us?
I think that's Simpson. Simpson.
Yeah,
Drinkwater got sent off against United.
When he got sent off, like the tweets were flooding in and went, "Well, Kante's in midfield. We've still got 2 players there."
That's why they won the league, because they've been man up all season. That's cheating. Like, I'd revoke that.
Really fucking much, you know.
I mean, Arsenal will win that by default. Then you'd be delighted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would also point out that Wes Morgan has got to be up there in the top performing Leicester.
Captain Morgan.
Which is one of the funniest things that I can't remember who it was. It was Mark Lawrenson. I think he was like, "It's ridiculous. Why isn't Wes Morgan going with the English squad to the Euros?"
It was Harry Redknapp you're thinking of, Rachel.
Oh, Harry Redknapp.
Yes.
Sorry, yeah, I knew it was
he forgot that he was declared for Jamaica.
Yeah, well, if Harry Redknapp said it, then it must be fucking true, you know.
Yeah, because. I mean,
did he say it outside of a ground, out of a car?
That's the only way you can talk nowadays. It's a serious condition. I wouldn't make fun of it.
He just carries around the car door just in case.
Yeah, it's a. Yeah.
Where's Morgan? Fucking disgrace.
Terrific.
Kante, I'll take 2.
Come on, I'll take your foul, mate. The foul. Top player.
I was like, Kante. Oh, can.
Welcome to the hour of bad Harry Redknapp impressions, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. I'll be here all week.
Unfortunately, let's.
To be honest with you, I don't think we can really spend any real time because I don't. I mean, to be honest,
It's all been said, really, hasn't it?
Yeah. Is there anything we can say about what Leicester have done?
No,
that hasn't been said already.
Yeah, it's
only to be honest. That I really, really wish that they would play Okazaki more.
And yeah, it
Just
is
a personal thing.
Yeah. Well, they do. He does play up front with Vardy. It's the fact that Vardy takes the headlines, but every time.
No. It's not that I wish he would score more or I can't fault his work rate. It's just I love that grin he has.
I love his name. Fuck the grin. It's just this. Even saying his name is fun.
Every time he smiles, it's just
To be fair, I kind of.
Happiest man on that planet.
I've kind of had that feeling with Ranieri as well. It's just that kind of warm feeling when you give your granddad a nice birthday present or something. That's what this Premier League season was. You were giving Claudio Ranieri, the league's granddad, a nice warm hug.
And to be honest with you, he's been brilliant as well. I mean, when we thonked him 5-2, the first thing,
first defeat,
Sanchez,
of the season.
Yeah, Sanchez scored a hat trick, and I think when they were asking him about the match, all he did was just talk about how great Sanchez was.
Yeah.
And I think that with a big smile on his face, he's just I think one of the quotes was, him and the ball are born together.
Yeah.
And just going, he spends the entire time his team just got whopped 5-2. It was a fantastic match, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
He spent the entire time just praising one of the opposition players, genuinely praising them, and he was thinking there, man, I cannot hate this guy. It's impossible to hate this guy.
Well, I think that was the masterstroke of Ranieri all throughout the season, was the fact that there was no pressure on that Leicester City squad. Everything was deflected. It was all about, no, let's get the 40 points first. They said, okay, we got 40 points. Okay, let's get Champions League football then, ding-a-ling, dilly-dong, whatever it was. And then, okay, we're probably going to be champions, but I'm not going to be here. I'm going to have lunch with my out in Rome, because that's the best thing to do when you're on the cusp of the ultimate victory.
Yeah, but to be honest, enjoy it while they can. Yeah. I don't think it'll happen again.
I don't think so. I think this is something we just need to savor and just remember. We were all here, we've all experienced it. And
this is our positive JFK moment.
Yeah. I said, well, one of us must have been standing on the grass. No, I don't know who it was. Yeah. But let's not sugarcoat this. The first match of the day next season is gonna be the hard reminder of we're never gonna see Leicester be champions again. We're never gonna see Gary Lineker in his knackers ever again. That's thankfully, yeah. Well, he's gonna shit himself anyway, so it's all the one. So it's just those two situations. Again, one thing I'll probably have to say for Leicester is they're gonna have to recruit really well next season, because when you think about it, everyone talks about the European obligations, but it's not even that. It's just the expectations and the fact that their squad is going to be a year older. Huth and Morgan were great this season because they were big burly lads and experienced and able to take on anything, but they're going to be 1 year older next season, and they're going to be against players that could be very well younger and faster. And so they're going to need something to counter that. And again, they could very well be poached by various clubs around Europe. Who knows if Mahrez or Kante will be there. Vardy would probably stay. But even still...
he said he's going to stay, so...
No, I think they'll keep almost every player.
I would hope so. I would hope so.
I don't think... To be honest, I think they're only in danger of losing two players. And that's my two top ones. Kante and Mahrez.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, Vardy's 29. He'll be pushing 30 by the time this next season kicks over. Nobody's going to shell out money for him. Their entire all their defenders, they're all over 30. Yep. Nobody's going to shell out money for them.
Yeah, in a way, it's a masterstroke for Leicester. Yeah,
it's a masterstroke. He looks at his team. You buy youth and you buy talented youth. Yeah. They're all experienced older. Nobody's going to pay money for them.
And the gas thing is, they do have very good youth players in the system. They're using that money.
They have exceptional players. But the thing is that, and also having now won the league, they're now safe from any other Premier League team poaching their players. Yeah. Because those players are going to think, why the fuck would I need champions? Chelsea aren't going to buy any of their players. They go, why would I go from a Champions medal, the league winning medal, to 10th?
Exactly. Yeah.
How the fuck,
Yeah. You'd only be attracted by the dollar, and that's about it.
And even then, having tasted success and a great manager, they can, the grass isn't always greener, and that's what they're going to be all thinking.
Well, I hope they see from other clubs that have been in that position, when they get torn apart like that, it doesn't work out for the players. They need to look at precedents.
And to be honest, I think like Mahrez will probably stay. I think Kante is already spoiling for a move. I think he's into the last year of his contract. So I reckon if they're going to lose anybody, they're going to lose Kante, who will be a massive blow. But
we say that though, but I mean, they lost. Remember, let's not forget, lads. They had Cambiasso last season, and everyone was going, "Oh no, like we want Cambiasso to stay. He's been a genius." And then he left, and go, they're fucked now because Cambiasso's gone. Then they find Kante. So like, obviously they'll have a plan B. There's no denying that. If they're able to have a plan B for Cambiasso, they have a plan B for everybody. So
their scouts have actually been people have been trying to poach their scouts because they are finding.
We got their scouts.
It was us.
Yeah, it was us.
But they didn't. Let's hope you make good use of it, lads. But
that's true.
Yes. So let's move on then. Leicester, well done, lads. Just what else can you say about them? It's just a wonderful story, wonderful bunch of players. Yeah. And then now, well done indeed. You get a gold star, and a bell, and a pizza, and a fucking blue wicked, and whatever other fucking in jokes we've had this season about them, because they deserve everything. They just
so many in jokes.
Oh, it's just wonderful. Anyway, this is going to be a labour of love for me. Next up is Liverpool. All right. So thank you for that, Whoop. It really helps me out.
Thank you.
8th place in the league altogether, 60 points, and that's about it league-wise. Our season of two halves, I have to be honest. Obviously, there was pre and post Rodgers.
Summarised by just two contrasting pictures of Jurgen Klopp and Gurney.
Yeah, those are his only two faces, let's be fair.
Yeah.
But again, funny enough, actually, I was about to say the big positive of the season was Jurgen Klopp. Just actually being able to get him, I think, is the biggest thing that's happened to this club this season. Was just the fact that, like, okay, Rodgers is gone, right? Wasn't expecting to go that early. There must be a reason why we're getting him that early. Oh, bollocks. We're either getting Carlo Ancelotti or we're getting Jurgen Klopp. And then as time went on, then it was looking like it was definitely going to be Klopp. And for me, and it's going to be the same thing. It's always the in-joke with Liverpool fans. They're going to say, it's going to be our year next year and all this shit. It's like, it's not obviously going to be our year next year. But the fact is that at least going to be in the right direction. It's going to be progress.
Absolutely. This season definitely ended a shitload better than it started.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I completely agree. And you can see that from the Cups as well. The fact that let's face it, like, the league form is terrible. We're horribly inconsistent. Sometimes we're completely unprepared. We gave up halfway through games sometimes. Like the Southampton game, I thought was ridiculous. We were 2-0 up and they fucking smashed us 3-2. That was a nonsense, for instance. And the Swansea game as well really pissed me off, losing 3-1.
Well, to be honest with you, to be honest, I don't think a lot of that can be kind of blamed on Klopp.
No, it was it was the players and the selection. It was mostly
like in all fairness, I genuinely believe that the Liverpool board kind of levelled with Klopp.
Yeah.
That, like, look here, your first season will be a bye, regardless of how bad it gets, because he inherited a team that was put together by 3 different managers.
Yeah.
Each with
under 3 different systems.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 different incompatible systems.
Yeah.
I think that's all. Like, so it really was. It was like somebody pushing jelly, cheese, and a blancmange through a fucking cheese grater, and then asking Klopp to serve up what drops out of the bottom of it.
Okay, so in your metaphor, then, Roy Hodgson is jelly, Kenny Dalglish is cheese, and Brendan Rodgers is blancmange.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that is perfect.
The blancmange of great character.
Absolutely. And it's just like forcing all of them, those 3 through a cheese grater and asking, here, Klopp, serve that up.
And the beauty of it was, it actually turned out well for him.
And that's the thing. Like,
he managed as well as he could possibly hope.
Yeah,
with that
absolutely.
Players.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, like, it's when you consider it, I'm like, it's just not working out for Benteke.
No, it's not. I think I said that. I kind of said this at the start of the season. Like, we've been down this road before. We bought a huge lad for £30 million, and we only have ourselves to blame for not like being a princess to him. Like, granted, Benteke is more skillful than Andy Carroll, and granted, we were kind of spending Chelsea's money with the Andy Carroll business, but fucking hell, lads, you did not learn from your mistakes. You know, they're gonna get this with Benteke. He will score goals. That's grand, but you need to give him the supply. And when you look at it, when you really think about it now, it was a boneheaded decision, because Benteke can only do well when he gets crosses in from this correct position, and you're going into a squad that has only central midfielders and no wingers. Our only winger is Jordan Ibe.
Wait a minute, you play James Milner on the wing.
Well, James Milner can just do anything, right?
No, to be honest,
I'll get into James Milner in a moment, because I think he's had a fantastic season. Believe it or not, I actually do think that.
In all fairness, to be honest, I'm not on the Milner bandwagon, to be honest. But he puts in a good shift, all that type of shit. I think he's quite overrated as a player, to be honest.
Yes.
He's overrated, but to be honest, there's a lot of things. The one question I would ask Klopp would be, why play him out wide?
Yes.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of things James Milner ain't, and a winger is fucking one of them.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true, but then again, like he's, I think Milner's that kind of player. He puts in the shift, and some managers do love that. Just to say, can you just go here for that problem? Yeah, that's fine. Just get me a cup of tea. I'll be sorted. It's grand. Yeah.
He really does fancy himself as the next Gerrard.
I don't see that happening. Really, I really don't.
No, I don't. It'll never ever happen. But in his mind, he sees that.
So that means now when we go for our title run, like in a year or two time, we'll be playing Chelsea, and he's the one to fucking slip. Great, look forward to it.
No, but you can see him every now and again. Like when he plays centrally, when he gets stuck centrally, you can see him trying to drive the team forward, and you just want to take him to one side, make him a cup of tea, and just go, man, people have strengths. People have strengths and weaknesses, and
I watched a match with him playing, and it was early on in his Liverpool career, and I think 3 passes in a row went straight out of play.
Yeah.
I just kind of went, that is the most typical Milner thing.
Well, that was a curious thing.
It was early on in the season, and it was like, Liverpool are just walking all over these. It's like, and the ball goes to Milner instead of playing. And 3 times in a row, and then I think the crowd got on his back.
Yeah.
I think he got subbed off at half time. It was
crossfield pass from Milner to the ball boy.
To the manager. But you see, this is the curious thing about Milner.
Field there of Joe Allen, and I know, Jonathan, you're a massive fanboy of Joe Allen.
I am not. No, hang on a second. I'm not a fanboy of Joe Allen, right? I just respect him as a deity. All right, you should be worshipping at the church of Welsh Javi, now the Welsh Pirlo, because of his hair. You do not badmouth the Prince of Swansea, okay? The Pride of Carmarthen, and whatever other nicknames I've made up this season. But no, I'm obviously being ironic here. He's not going to be factoring in the squad at all, even though he's fine. He's just not a Liverpool player. He's a Brendan Rodgers player, which is the big problem.
Exactly, that's a total problem. But I think another, when we're talking about Milner, you have to talk about, there's a few positives as well with the Liverpool thing, in which that Firmino and Coutinho have shown.
Well, I would say the lads I've picked out was obviously Firmino, but the 2 ones I picked out were Lovren and Sakho. And it's astounding for me to even say that this season Dejan Lovren has been one of our best players. Because last season he was desperate last season. But just whatever they're doing in training now, whatever Klopp is doing with Lovren, he's turned him into a fucking animal. And as someone who's just he's not thinking about passing, he's not thinking about the drop ball or the second ball. He's just thinking, that ball out there, stare angrily at Sakho. That's their remit now. And
pretty much.
Yeah, and it's a fucking shame.
That's Sakho's insanity just leaking into Lovren then.
It could be a bleeding effect. You're maybe right. You may be right.
Contagious insanity.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the fucking drugs test isn't contagious either, because I don't think we want to lose another one. But
I think, to be honest with you, man, I think he's gone for a year.
Fucking, it's looking like 2 or 4 years, 2 years or 4 years, which is
Yeah,
such a shame.
Like I said there, like, when it came out that he tested positive for a fat burner, I went, if it's clenbuterol, he is fucked.
Yeah. Well, like I said, they haven't said what it is now. I'm
They
sure.
haven't said, exactly, they haven't said what it is. But if it turns out, because clenbuterol, like, that doesn't occur naturally.
No.
Like, that, you've taken that.
Yeah. Absolutely, like it's a very obvious metabolite. You know, that doesn't develop like naturally, or it's a false positive. It is definitely that. So I think it's just a really silly decision by him, and again, also, it kind of epitomizes us in a way.
Yeah. Also, actually, one of the things I was already cut across there because one of the things, considering I'm the keeper of the group, I always wanted to get what you thought. Was this a good season for Mignolet or not?
It was good and bad. I think ultimately, Klopp will...
The reason why I asked this is because every other Liverpool supporting friend I have, and there's been a few of them, and they're all going, yeah, we need to join the queue for Courtois.
I would if we can get Courtois, I would actually die happy. I would genuinely think, do you know what? This club is in safe hands now. I'll just go into this coffin and just dissipate.
I'll just bow out, yeah.
Yeah, just done. But no. The thing with Mignolet is...
I think he'll die as well if the Goetze rumours turn out to be true.
Yeah, Guts as well. That's again. I'll get to this point later on. But first, Mignolet. He's a very frustrating player, and the reason I say that is because he's naturally very reactive and very reflexive, and he will come out with an amazing save that he can only do in the heat of the moment. But then there'll be some moments where he loses what's the word I'm thinking of? He forgets one of the basics of goalkeeping. Like he forgets that his legs are wide open like the fucking Euro tunnel, letting the balls in, or he'll have his hands down here when he's supposed to be up at a regular position, or the fact that he sometimes flaps his arms like he's a fucking the wavy balloon thingies that the car sells. That guy.
What's baby you play while playing two man?
That guy. And the fact is that he does that so many times, it's frustrating, and he's dropped a lot of points for us this season as a result. So
can I just point out, as a part-time keeper that constantly makes mistakes,
yes,
I can relate to Mignolet that some of his stuff has been exceptional this season. And at other times he has moments where he just watches the ball go into the back of the net.
And that's
the shouting player.
And no, you're quite right in the sense that Mignolet he's a fine goalkeeper, but you can't rely on him, and that's frustrating, especially when you think that he was Pepe Reina's successor, and Reina was fucking rock solid for 3 years, and then there was a 1 year where people just realised, yeah, he's done. He have to go now. But I think that at least when it comes to the names that we're being linked with, it's promising. We're not talking about players like Joe Allen, obviously, but we're talking about lads who were big names barring Milner. No. Again, Milner is doing it. It's a 7. He's a 7 out of 10. You're not going to get much else out of him, and he's gonna be replaced by someone more skillful eventually. It's just the fact that he's doing the job now, and he's doing it very well. That's all I can say about him. For instance, that's a weird thing about Milner is he cannot take a good fucking corner, right? He always hits the first man, which again I think should be, as Neil keeps saying, should be fined for that.
He takes hitting the first man from a corner to fucking an art form.
Yeah, but
it's actually almost impressive.
Yeah, but when the ball is moving and he's on the byline, he can just cross it in and fucking win the game against Dortmund as a result. He got 2 assists against in the Dortmund game, which I still find baffling. And he got so many assists this season as well. But that's a different story. I think there is going to be a complete scrapping of some of the players in the Liverpool squad. Mostly, I think the youth players are starting to go away now. Lads like Rossiter and Sinclair, they're gone already. They're lads that were fancied by Rodgers to kind of get bedded in this season. They're off now, and Klopp has already identified the lads he wants in the squad. He wants Ojo, which I think he's going to be a top player for us. I'm really looking forward to it. Kevin Stewart as well. I'm very surprised at because he was a Spurs dropout and we took him in, presumably like in kind of that kind of orphanage scene that everyone uses, and we took him in and he's been decent. He's actually been okay. He's made a lot of interceptions. He's made a lot of tackles. He's physically strong, and Klopp can see him in training and go, ha ha, excellent. I'll get him, and. But the main thing, again, it goes back to a problem we've had for a long time, even before Suarez, is goals. Like, Suarez was amazing for that, but when you took him out of the squad, you can't replace the goals. Sturridge is injured a lot now. He seems to be a bit better this season, but he looks very disinterested. I don't think he likes working on the clock because he's working too much. There's too much work on his fitness and too much in training. So I think he might try and angle a move. I know Benteke is definitely gone. There's no way he's staying for another season. They're gonna find a club for him. Yeah, it's not his team. It's not his style, and we knew that from the start.
Where would Benteke fit in?
Well, we have a feature for that later on, Rachel, which we will get to. Well, okay, I will say outright Benteke's primary team should be West Ham.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Yeah,
straight away. West Ham has to be. They're the player. He's the kind of player that they love to have. Big target man, big physical presence, and you have fullbacks that can cross in perfectly. Like, you can imagine how many crosses he's going to get from like Byram and Cresswell.
It's a team built for the target man.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think he's going to go there. I'm very hopeful for Origi, but he's not going to be the lad who's going to lead the lines. Nor is Ings. I think Origi and Ings are going to be some good plan Bs for us this next season. But
I reckon Origi will be a good plan A in a few years.
I think so too. I mean, if the casting is he's gone to double figures this season, which I was very surprised at myself. Brilliant. So, but that wasn't out of necessity either. He got the nod ahead of Sturridge for a reason, which is great, and it's good for him as well. Pity he got injured at the end of the season because he could have used him to maybe push on. But he will certainly develop next season. But there definitely needs to be generally just improvements all around the squad. New goalkeeper is definitely on the agenda. It looks like we've signed Karius from Clone.
Seriously, I'm so fucking happy for you guys about that.
Yeah, 5 million is a super deal if we can confirm it. We've got Matip already on a free transfer, which is another super deal as well. Like, getting him on a free deal is amazing. Any other year, you'd be paying like fucking 15 million for him. He's that good. Zielinski is apparently signed from Udinese, Polish midfielder. Apparently a mad bastard. So perfect for Klopp.
Perfect.
Well, somebody has to replace Sacco.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, again, failed test. Another player.
The general insanity level of the team without him in it is just dropped. You know? So it's like, no, we need some crazy people in here.
Yeah.
How would Wijnaldum from Newcastle fit into Klopp's crazy? Actually, that could be a thing like KK. Klopp's crazies. Just all the mentlers in the league just go to,
Yeah. Next thing, Liverpool should sign fucking Mitrovic.
I would love that. Just like Klopp is looking at all.
You wouldn't. You'd be playing like 70% of the fucking season with 10 men.
This is true. But
the cunt is an absolute lunatic.
But I imagine the premise of that. I love the premise of that.
We'll discuss Newcastle later.
Yeah.
But no, I think there is going to be a lot of expectations next season. A lot of names being linked, like Götze, I think, could be a huge swoop. Problem is, though, we have a lot of players that are like Götze already. Like, you have Firmino, Coutinho, Lallana. Zielinski plays in that position as well. You need to cull one of them. Like,
to be honest with you, I don't think you do. You're looking to compete on multiple fronts. You need that depth.
But we don't have European football next season. We only have domestic cups. We know European football, so you're aiming for a league this time. The agenda is different.
You still need the depth for the cup competitions.
I don't know. It depends really. We need silverware anyway. It's been a long time.
Yeah,
we've been to two finals, and
that's what I mean. Yeah. And that means you'll want to give the FA Cup a fair whack.
I'm not saying
buy Mario Götze so you can fucking so you're not being put out by Sheffield Wednesday.
No, we're more of a league. We're more of a League One side, really. You know,
I'm saying that like, I'm saying people quite often massively underestimate just how much multiple cup competitions take out of players, and how unforgiving the Premier League is to their players. And I think, like people always criticise Arsenal for the amount of central midfielders we have, and I think I always turn around and laugh. It's like, we don't actually have enough, I believe.
No,
because we want to compete, we need that depth.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree. So it's going to be a more interesting summer than usual, because
fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many names I can think of that could be out the door. Bogdan is gone anyway because he's fucking desperate. Jose Enrique is gone already, which I'm delighted about. Finally bought his contract out. I hope Colo Torre doesn't leave because we all love him.
There is no reason to be upset.
No, there isn't. I'm actually more relaxed even thinking about it. Stephen Cocker, you had a use. That was about it. I think Skirtle could be on the way out as well. He seemed to be a bit teary-eyed when
don't think he's adapted to Klopp.
No.
But anyways, it'll be interesting seeing what Klopp does with his first transfer season.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Especially now we already have there are already 2 names in the door. Looks like 2 more are on the way. Götze would be a huge swoop if we get him. So who knows, man? It's going to be a very interesting summer. But same again for Liverpool. Big overhaul every year and needs to click this time. Really needs to click this time.
But to be honest with you, with Klopp, I think it will.
Yeah, because at least
crazy. Woo!
Yeah! Woo! Boom! And all that shit.
Burning. Any case.
Yes, Manchester City is next up. 4th place, 66 points. Should they have won the league?
No.
Why?
Their players are grossly overpaid for the play that they actually did this year. Like, their play was atrocious.
Yes, but at the start of the season, would you have said they would win the league? Because I would have said the players they got in, that should have won them the championship, hands down. For me, at least.
Well, not really, because when you consider what they've done in the past, they've bought their way to the league twice, and both times they scraped their own goal difference.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. It was never gonna... It was... again, we're getting back to the constant fucking recurrent theme of short-termism. You know? And
also, they have not had a solid back four all year because they have so much choice in those positions because they've bought in all of these players who have turned out to be nonsense.
Yeah. Eloquin Mangala, £40 million.
To be honest with
you,
my God. I would have rather seen them build a paper man out of that 40 million and burnt it.
I think that's what they did. Have you seen them play?
They didn't. They're just shoveling it into a furnace shaped like Eloquin Mangala.
a Mangala wicker man, basically.
Absolutely. No, it's just so bad. I mean, like, the Capital One Cup win and the fact that they somehow managed to get to the Champions League semi-finals, despite the fact that they laboured out of it.
Yeah, oh my God. I've never been so angry watching a match before than City Real Madrid.
Papering over the cracks, man. I mean, they didn't beat any of the top 8 with the exception of Southampton once, and that was at home.
That's right, yeah.
The quite frankly disgraceful way that they've treated Pellegrini.
Let's talk about that, because I think Manuel Pellegrini had a decent season himself, but he's an ultimately naive manager, but he didn't deserve to get treated like fucking junk, did he?
To be honest, I think the writing was on the wall, but I was expecting more class.
Yeah. I feel sad for him, really,
I don't understand why we expected class from Man City, but
this is true. It actually makes me more angry at myself.
for having high expectations.
But no, you have the likes of Torre still starting in midfield, even though he would much rather be sitting off eating cake, probably not even watching the football match.
Where is my cake?
About every match that has gone. He has just been absolutely appalling.
Yeah.
And I think it's great the amount of money he's been paid.
He's on 240 grand a week.
And China wants him to get for more money as well.
Well, to be honest with you, the only place he can go from now on, he's painted himself with money, admittedly. He's painted himself into a corner there because he can't go anywhere.
Yeah. I completely agree.
There's no way. This season has been too shit. He's looked so disinterested. It's been unbelievable. To be honest with you, he looks like the kind of player that when he's not at a match, he wouldn't even watch his own team play.
Yeah.
No,
you know,
he's probably too busy doing something else. Yeah.
Yeah, you know the way sometimes team players, like when they're injured, they always tweet photos of them watching the game. You know, with their feet up, go, "Come on, you boys!" You know, all that type of shit. You know that's not him.
Yeah,
he is not watching that match.
No, I'll tell you why. Because you remember the Capital One Cup final. Of course, we watched it live on the Monday Madness YouTube channel plug, and you remember he scored the winning penalty. But nobody celebrated him because they wanted to celebrate with Willie Caballero, or as we call him,
who saved fucking loads of penalties.
Yes,
who was brilliant and who deservedly got all the celebrations.
Yes,
very deserved.
But remember the picture that came out where everyone is celebrating the Capital One Cup, and then there's Yaya in the corner in a sulk like a fucking 5-year-old, like he doesn't want to get his picture taken at class. You know?
And to be honest with you, like the writing was on the wall. Like I think. It was hilarious, the management. Like, it's a clear case of... It's obvious a case of, like, those without history can't learn from it.
Yes.
You know, in that they've only bought them, like, Manchester City as a proper team have only really existed for the last 5 years.
Yeah. And
the fact that nobody could go, all right then, Pep Guardiola, we're going to get him in. Brilliant. Let's announce it early. There's nothing bad's gonna happen there. But hang on, Yaya and Guardiola don't get along. We're getting Pep. Fuck.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
While we're at it, do you want to let the current manager know he's being replaced midway through the season? I know he's alright. Yeah.
I think he would have known that going in anyway. If they hadn't been top from Christmas, he was gone.
Yeah,
I'd say like they have that like much pressure on a manager at that club.
That's the thing. I don't think it would have affected. Yeah, I don't think it would have affected Pellegrini that much. But the thing is that they didn't think about the effect on the players.
Yeah, no.
Who wouldn't have known. You know, I'm like, you'd be surprised at how often players kept in the dark and to what extent they're kept in the dark. But it was so badly run. The whole thing, it's been awful.
Yeah, I completely agree. What really annoyed me at the end was the last home game. It was against you guys actually, and the fact that
they played brilliantly.
Yeah, but it wasn't that. That wasn't the problem. My point is that he's there having trying to have a heartfelt speech, and Pellegrini, and half the stadium was gone, fucking disappeared. Didn't even bother to stay to listen to him. That was disgusting for me. I mean, this is a lad who gave you a Premier League title and 2 trophies. 2 trophies that you wouldn't have had otherwise, and a Premier League title you wouldn't have had otherwise. No matter if he got it by goal difference or anything else, he still got you a league title. You know, that irritated me, because when you look at, for me as a Liverpool fan, we'd fucking kill for a league title nowadays, because Jesus Christ, we'd kill for it. You know, and the fact that whatever manager it would have been, it could have been Brendan Rodgers a few years ago, and the man would have been up there with fucking Shankly for years, even if he got sacked this season. And the fact is, this sense of entitlement now for Man City fans, and Chelsea has this as well. It's just a side effect of all the money. You know, they said, oh yes, we have all the best players. We signed Sterling, De Bruyne, Otamendi. We should win everything now. And we're not. And we're in a tizzy now because of it. You know, it annoys me. It's a thing that football fans have nowadays, a sense of entitlement.
Yeah, exactly. It's just been... And it's actually one of the things, quietly, Silva's been doing a job. I didn't rate him at all this season.
No, neither did I.
Just looking at the stats that he got 11 assists, I think.
Oh, he's been great for them. Yeah.
But he doesn't get any of the plaudits. He doesn't get any. Silva had a great game. It's like, Manchester City.
Yeah, it's all about Sterling and De Bruyne now. You see, that's the agenda.
About the big names or the new names more so than big names.
Oh, by the way, I am quite happy.
In all fairness, in De Bruyne, I genuinely believe they've got a world class. He's been fucking brilliant for them.
He has.
Under Guardiola, he is going to win the league for them. Like, I'm saying that right now. Like, De Bruyne is going to be a league winner. There's no denying that. If he stays fit and doesn't have any like long-term injuries like he had this season, he is going to do it for them. You can see it in him, you know. And that's and again, it comes to that. Why, if you're Chelsea, would you let a player like that go? You could have seen it. We all saw it when De Bruyne was in Chelsea. This lad is super. But the fact he's out wide and Mourinho doesn't like wide people, it's just what's wrong with you people? Why can't you tell you have good players?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's go to Manchester United then. 5th place finishing in the league, 66 points. FA Cup winners confirmed yesterday, but Louis van Gaal still loses his job. Jose Mourinho is soon to be the new Manchester United manager. Gentlemen and lady, your thoughts?
I think they're a joke. Really, like...
they really... Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I think to treat someone who's just after winning you a trophy for the first time in, you know, a few years...
2004. The last time they won the FA Cup was 2004, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was about that, yeah.
Like, you know, it's just disgraceful. Just, you know, he haven't had a good season. The club haven't had a good season. The teams have been atrocious. But no one deserves to be told straight after they win a trophy, look, enjoy that, you're out, you know, tomorrow.
Yeah. No, I found that shameful myself. And it's just a common trait this year. Just like managers just kicked off straight away.
But just
so ruthless. So ruthless.
I think they have been looking for a manager with an ego that would match that of Sir Alex Ferguson, which they haven't had. They had David Moyes, who was kind of the understudy, the eternal understudy. And then they had, like, then Louis van Gaal, who's this new guy. He can do the best. He's a quiet guy who does the wrong job for that team.
Yeah, he's just a bit bonkers, is Van Gaal.
Yeah, but they wanted someone who had an ego like Sir Alex, and they have it now.
Well, there you go.
So whether that works for them or not, I actually don't know. I don't know how Mourinho can bounce back from his utter capitulation at Chelsea in the space of this few months without taking a break to go elsewhere.
Well, the simple thing is just have him for 2 years and then don't like hire him for the 3rd year. Like it's the same theme as the other clubs we've spoken about. It's short-term booking. You know, you're asking for a league title in 1 or 2 years. You're not looking further away. There's no development of youth or anything like that. And actually, in a way, I'm very worried about the team for United next season, because the one positive I would say about United is that Louis van Gaal has used a lot of youth players, and it's mostly by necessity. Like, I could not believe how many injuries United have had this season. I don't know if it's from the training or just serious bad luck. But it just served as an opportunity for some young lads to step up. And the 3 I would name straight out would be Lingard, Rashford, Martial actually was another one, but that's a different circumstance. But definitely Lingard, I think, has been better than Rashford this season. Bit of a controversial one, I know. Yeah. But at least Lingard was designed to be the breakout star. Rashford just kind of appeared, and out of necessity, more so than anything else. It was almost an accident, really. The fact that he's on the plane to Euro 2016 and Lingard isn't, I think, is fucking stupid. That's Roy Hodgson buying into the hype. Again, it's a weird thing about United.
You can say that United have been unlucky with injuries, but how many other teams can say had that amount of injuries? I think they do pip Arsenal slightly, but Arsenal had, I think, just as many days of first team players out injured.
Well, yeah, you guys had long-term injuries like Welbeck and Wilshere, your big ones. These guys just had like injury gone for a few weeks, and they're like specific positions as well. Like defenders were getting injured, you know, and midfielders and then strikers were going injured. It was so bizarre in a way. It was like some sort of injury virus just hit the camp, and everyone was a bit sore. You know, like imagine there was a fucking queue outside the sick bay at Old Trafford for like months. Again, whether that's down to the way they were training or something, but their football was really suffering this season. Like they were so dull. But and it was only.
But it's just been going that way for the last number of years.
It has been, yeah.
I remember like a team, like even when Alex Ferguson was in charge, that played exciting, good football. It was always
winning.
You know,
yeah.
It was always win by any means necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was almost to the nth degree in this case, wasn't it? It's just like there's no excitement. And for me, United have been dreadful the last year or two with transfers. I mean, this year was a very kind of obvious one where they say, okay, United, you've boasted that you have great development of players and you have some of the best youth players in the world. Fucking use them. Stop sponging 50 million on Angel Di Maria. Stop wasting money on Memphis Depay, who I think he's gone. I don't know where he's disappeared to. Like him and like Mario Balotelli have just disappeared off the face of the earth, which is a good thing.
To be honest, they've been big for the flops. They've been big for the fucking flops. I mean, Di Maria, I'm like, alright, then that's not this season. But Depay.
Valdez, let's not forget. Valdez is just treated like shit.
Herrera is massively overrated. Darmian really lacked any type of quality. It's just, to be honest with you, were they not for De Gea, they'd be far worse off.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And let's not forget, lads, they got Schweinsteiger and Schneiderlin in, right? So you have 4 players, including Fellaini, and they're all the same player, all defensive midfielders, and no real attacking midfielders. Like Herrera is the other one, and he's just never even used. But yeah, it's ultimately been a negative season for United because they've had so many over inflated expectations, and then somehow are angry when it doesn't happen. I don't think Mourinho's not gonna do any well at United. The mantra for United is making our own players. Like, you've made your own players now with Lingard and Rashford. Use them. Mourinho, as we all know, despises youth players. Like, this fucker will probably try and sign Richard Carvalho or something. Or he'll try and sign fucking John Obi Mikel. It's like, use the players you have.
How did he try to bring Falcao back?
Oh, I would fucking laugh. I would laugh it. It was just like, I'm thinking of getting the new strike force. Oh, really? What do you think? Oh, he's already here. He signed the contract. Shit. I really should have written.
Well, in any case, I'll just a little bit brief tack back. I think Pep Guardiola's going to get found out at City, and I believe Jose will really fail at Manchester United.
That's interesting.
I'll go on record and say that the two of them are going to get fucking found out.
Well.
I would definitely agree with Mourinho. I don't think he's going to have any luck next season. Whereas Pep, I don't know.
The City team would suit him.
He could wing it and just,
Yeah. Well, let's face it. It's not going to be a comfortable victory if he does win. It's going to be a typical City one where it's going to be skin of the teeth and unconvincing, shall we say?
Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, that'll be it for Manchester United.
I think so too.